So tonight I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna meet with a friend of mine who has a really cool ER34 Skyline, and we're basically just gonna chill with him for the night. He's actually really well known here in the Tokyo car scene, not only for his car, what he's done with it, but also for the fact that he's behind some of the underground meets that we've covered over the last year or two. And his name is Takashi, and here he is parking up his car and getting ready for the night. So the cool thing about Takashi's Skyline is that it is a true aftermarket creation. It's like a harlequin of parts that he's basically handpicked over the years, and I think he's done a really good job because he's created one of the most unique ER34 Skylines out there. And you know, a lot of people have this kind of discrimination when it comes to ER34s, the GTTs, basically because they're not GTRs, they don't have an RB26, but through some serious mods you can create something extremely fun with an RB25. And I particularly like what he's done here. He's gone for a nice mix of interesting parts, starting off with that high mounted KKK turbo on the side there. That's basically a very old unit that he got from a tuner friend in Chiba. He's matched it to a Plasma Man intake on the intake side, and over here it looks like an RB26, but it's just the cam covers. As you can see, that's RB25 cam sensors up front, and this basically puts out 441 horsepower, and Takashi does use it for drifting, and it's plenty of power for serious fun. So one cool thing about the venue that we decided to meet at is that we're basically underneath the Rainbow Bridge, right here on the water, Tokyo Bay, and we're on the Odaiba side of things, and we're basically gonna take a ride back into Tokyo over the bridge, and there's another location that we want to put the car in and kind of shoot around it and maybe talk with Takashi about the details that makes his car so unique and so special, and hopefully get to ride with it too. Okay, so we are on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge now. We came over from Odaiba, and this is a pretty cool drive that we did, and what a backdrop. We get to see the Rainbow Bridge from the other side. But you know, Takashi, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your car.
Okay.
Like, you told me originally this was your drift missile.
Yeah.
I don't think this looks like a drift missile.
Yeah.
Too clean.
Yes. Before, when I buy it, I just want to practice drift, but I was working in overseas. Yeah. So I leave this car in Japan. So release my stress in overseas. I buy many parts and send it to the shop. Yeah. So it's automatically. So
when you came back to Japan,
yes,
you had a nice toy.
Yes.
to play with. Well, but you do drift it.
Yes,
I've seen you at Fuji Short drifting your car once.
Yes, very few. Only once a month. No, once a year.
Once a year.
Yes. Okay.
But mainly you just enjoy driving like Tokyo at night.
Yeah. Every weekend we are going to parking.
You know, there's been a lot of, I guess, attention from the police over the last few years. We lost Tatsumi parking area, unfortunately. That was a really cool venue to go to. Where do you usually end up on a night like today, like a Friday night?
If it's open, we're going to Daikoku.
Yeah.
But every week, Friday and Saturday, they close. Police close. So we are going to Umihoraru. It's on middle in Tokyo Bay. Yeah.
That's the best spot.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool spot because it's so wide open, and you know it has like lots of bright lights, so people can kind of be protected from the weather. If it's even raining, it's like a nice spot to kind of hit up. We'll probably hit up something like that later on. We'll probably keep driving and get some more shots of your car, and then maybe jump into some more details like engine and interior.
Okay.
Okay, so we've jumped in with Takashi and we're off to do a bit of driving in the city. We're gonna hit up Ginza and then maybe stop around Nihonbashi, have a chat along the way, just to figure out, you know, what has gone into the build of this car. Like just sitting in here now, I noticed so many details. Basically starting off with the custom interior. It's all like leather. This is Alcantara?
Yes.
Alcantara trimmed, like polished R34 GTR shift knob and GTR meters.
Yes.
GTT look, GTR look, but the GTT base. I love the dials suspended behind the rearview mirror. That sounds amazing. For such a little turbo, this really pulls hard. You were saying it's a KKK, so like a really old style turbo, right? The RB25 is actually a billet or like aftermarket pistons and rods?
No, just stock.
Stock RB25?
Only Tomei camshaft.
Only camshafts?
Yeah. Usually I don't use high.
Don't use high?
Yeah, I'm scared. That
sounds mental. You gotta love the external wastegate sound, and you've actually gated the wastegate to the side. There's like two pipes coming out. Doesn't really matter if you have an RB26 or an RB25. RBs always sound really good. And one of your latest modifications has been the Hypertune intake, right?
Yes.
Did you notice any difference?
Yes, also.
Like response?
Yeah, response.
Okay, so like I mentioned in the intro, Takashi's main thing here in Tokyo is basically putting on some of the best meats that we've ever seen, and basically you came up with the idea of doing this underground Tokyo meet, which started after Tokyo Auto Salon a couple of years ago, and now you've done 3 or 4 already, right?
Yeah, 4.
4.
3, sorry.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically you hand select the best cars in Tokyo and surrounding areas and bring them together to some cool venues.
Actually, I want to invite all people, all my friends.
Yeah.
But the space is limited.
Yeah, that's the problem with Tokyo. Yeah. And even if you do get like a really nice location that maybe you kind of rent out, you still have problems with the police. Yeah. Most of the times, right? This year especially, after Tokyo Auto Salon, even though it was on the rooftop of a building, they came. So the crazy thing is, like we were just saying, I shot your car 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Initially, the first time you put the HRE wheels on it and you got the paint sorted out. That's the first time we kind of met and did a shoot just down the road here in Shiodome, Italia.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe that's 10 years ago.
Yes.
And you're still driving the car, and it's just getting better and better every time.
Yeah, I get old, but
we get old, but the car,
yes,
it appreciates, because you know these cars are getting so expensive these days. It's absolutely crazy. I'm gonna upset some people with this noise through Ginza. So we made it to Nihonbashi. This is the famous bridge that kind of gives the actual name to the location. Nihonbashi and Takashi's Skyline, looking menacing right there. Now, as I was mentioning as we arrived here, this part of the Shuto, which goes right on top of the bridge, is basically actually going to get dismantled. There's a big project that started last year, I believe, and the aim is in the next 20 years to remove this stretch and reroute it somewhere else. But enough about I don't know, like Tokyo historical stuff. Let's get back to the 34, and next stop we're gonna keep driving and maybe eventually end up at Umihoraru on the Aqualine to meet up with some people. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy this backdrop. Where we've ended up after driving around a little bit and getting stuck in back streets. It's a Friday night, it's warm, and people are out enjoying it, so it is very busy out here in Nihonbashi. But what a cool venue we found. Tokyo, man, all you have to do is basically just go out down any back street and you find these kind of like amazing little spots. So we actually ended up coming to a new construction here in, I think this is, yeah, it's still Nihonbashi. Really cool new construction, and they kind of felt, they kind of kept the Japanese feel. So, you know, placing the car like this in between these two gigantic buildings really does make that skyline pop. There's Ala getting all the details. Alright, so we actually did end up at Umihoraru, and the turnout is pretty impressive for a Friday night, considering that it's the beginning of the Golden Week today, so a lot of people are probably like off on holidays and stuff. So we actually ended up meeting with a couple of other cool guys from Tokyo, the Tokyo car scene rather, including something extremely special. Now what you're seeing here is a Tommy Kaira M19. This is one of 12 Mercedes 190s that Tommy Kaira made as a complete car. And the owner of this car is actually the owner of HWA Wheels. And on top of owning this, he owns another one. So out of 12 cars, he owns 2 of them. And just look at this thing, it's absolutely incredible. Alright, so we're gonna go over the engine, seeing what we're actually basically talking about before in the cabin with Takashi. So, like we said, RB25, completely stock. It has RB26 cam covers and Tomei cams. It does look a bit like an RB26 with those cam covers, but if you look closely, that will tell you that's a RB25, because there's also a cam sensor on the intake side. Takashi actually managed to get this really kind of vintage KKK turbocharger from the guys at Teps in Chiba. It's actually a tuning shop close to Top Secret, and basically they had this turbo kind of like, you know, sitting around, and Takashi took it off their hands and fitted it to his build. Right, so I'm not really sure what kind of manifold he's running, but on the intake side he has just added this Plasma Man intake manifold, beautifully constructed piece. Look at the welding on this. It's absolutely unbelievable, the quality of these welds. Hand executed, of course. And here we have a Plasma Man electronic throttle, so single throttle. What this engine manages to develop is 441 horses and 53 kilogram meters of torque, which pretty much is a really good spec for like a kind of entry level RB26, and you know, in an RB25 with rear wheel drive. That makes for a lot of fun, as we kind of experienced before through the streets of Tokyo. What else did Takashi do? He's added an R33 GTST 5-speed transmission, mainly because he actually damaged the stock transmission that the ER34 came with after an accident, and then he runs an ATS LSD at the back. So the first thing that attracted me to this car 10 years ago when I first shot it for Speedhunters was 2 things. One being the custom-made HRE wheels, which he runs in custom sizes. This beautiful kind of like satin anodized finish for both the barrel and the centers. At the back, the dish is even more pronounced. And it was unlike any other Skyline that I had seen. And even since then, I don't think anybody's replicated this look here in Japan. So very unique way that it sits on these wheels. And of course, then there is the actual color. So this color is actually a Porsche kind of like metallic bronze brown. Really does give his car a very unique look. It's unmistakably his car, and he's kind of gotten to be known, you know, owning this kind of brown bronze metallic Skyline. And he's actually painted his other car, a G-Wagon, in the exact same color, and it runs, you know, HRE wheels. So it's kind of like a G-Wagon off-roader type version of his ER34. And it's so cool, in fact, that I think we should probably do a feature on that as well eventually. The details continue up front with this bumper that Z says is basically nothing special. He found it on sale on Yahoo Auction, so he has no idea where it comes from. He finished it off with this nice carbon fiber lip spoiler. He's stayed with the orange indicators, and I think that fits this bronze color really well. He's got the GTR xenon headlights, and the coolest thing here has to be the front fender. So he was actually running some aftermarket FRP ones before, but with all the drifting he did, they ended up damaging. and so he had a body shop, his trusted body shop, to make up some steel ones for him. So these are custom fenders. Let's see if we get a better look this side. Hand shaped and perfectly rolled here to get the maximum out of that stance. At the rear, to kind of balance it out, he has this FRP cover, which is screwed on to the bodywork to give that kind of GTR-like box fender look. Latest addition for Takashi's ER34 is this Car Shop Glow rear diffuser, which is actually made for an FD-RX-7, and that's the reason it actually sticks out that much. But he kind of liked the way that it sat. Definitely finishes that rear end quite nicely, because mainly, you know, there's no spoiler back here, so he thought that by kind of adding this aggression under there, it would kind of finish off the car really well. As you saw, there's some really nice tail lights here. The old 1998, 1999 Nissan badge. He's even added the GTS 25T badge from an R33. And if we go here at the front, here's those pair of screamer pipes from the external wastegate that's controlling the KKK turbocharger. So another thing you'll notice if you look deep behind those HRE spokes is a set of R34 GTR Brembo brakes, 4 pots at the front, and back here 2 pots at the back. So braking is definitely on point with this car. As you can see, starting off on the door cards, that custom leather and Alcantara trim starts off there. As we see inside, there's a renowned steering wheel, those ER34 based GTR look instrument cluster, and all the transmission tunnel has been upholstered in the same leather and Alcantara. You have some ZSS, kind of like Wangan feel race seats, and a roll cage that pretty much spans across the entire cabin. And my favorite touch is those 3 dials hanging off the rearview mirror. So there you have it. Now that we've closed the bonnet, we can actually see that it has the same kind of venting as you would find on an Nismo Z-Tune, but this is an FRP replica. And then we have the other cars that showed up. This yellow RWB is absolutely sick. It's one of the coolest builds in Japan. Definitely have to do a feature on this car because it really deserves space. Starting off with the fact that it runs smooth fenders. There's no screws, rivets. It's all being blended in, and boy does it look impressive. There's something so special about a 964 RWB when it's built this well. And next to it we have a slammed narrow body 993 on BBS LNs, looking super sick. This is a car built by Moontech, and a lot of these cars will actually be seeing at WECFest. I just cannot stop looking at this Tommy Kaira. This thing is absolutely sick, and the crazy thing is that it's in incredible condition. Like, the paint is spotless for a black car. It's got JBL parcel shelf speakers, RWR sticker on the back, so maybe hinting that RWR does look after this car. Those HWA wheels are wrapped in Pilot Sport 4 tires, so modern rubber. The interior is absolutely incredible, even though you can't really see with all the reflections. But you know, like I said, you can bet that we're gonna do a feature on this car. This is way too special to pass up. So, you know, with that, I think I'm gonna end this video. I think it's been an awesome night, spending a couple of hours with Takashi, kind of reminiscing on that first shoot that I did 10 years ago. And you know, the reason that I was so attracted to this car initially, and how it's come such a long way since then, you know, perfecting the details, getting a little bit more power, refining things like with the plenum, and just enjoying the thing. This was supposed to be his missile. It turned out to be something a little bit different, But you know, the good thing is he uses it. He uses it, you know, countless times every week. Comes out to all the meets and basically kind of represents what Tokyo car culture is all about.